There is something about drummers in metal. Watching someone pound the skins up close with groove, rhythm, and sweat is so exciting. A
Thank
top,
you.
a top example would be Tank at the Cart and Horses last year, where I was about 2 meters away from the awesome Karl Wilcox in action. Karl, welcome to Metal Talk.
Right. Thanks, Steve. Thank you for having me.
Cool.
Pleasure to be here. And thanks
you've
for the T-shirt that you graciously donated at that inaugural show for me. With
fantastic. Looks great. Looks great. We've moved up to hoodies now because of the cold weather. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, you've played some massive stages in the past. You know, does the compact setting of a place like the Cart and Horses still get you buzzing? Does it kind of remind you of the old days?
Yeah, actually, I mean, several drummers and musicians have commented that the preference for a smaller venue, because it's a lot more intimate, and people who are giving you the horns and screaming the lyrics back at you whilst you're playing is really, really noticeable, as opposed to being 25 yards from the front of the stage, and then there's like 15 feet of a security thing, and then you can see the crowd. And for me especially, my first show with Tank, I really, really enjoyed that show.
Oh, it's a really cool show. I mean, I love Leader of Down as well. And we spoke to Cliff and Mick from Tank after the gig, and they were buzzing, yeah. And Cliff said with that lineup, it feels to him like a brand new band. I mean, did you feel that as well? Do you feel that excitement?
Oh yeah. There was definitely some electricity during the rehearsals that we had. I mean, obviously, Mick and Cliff sorted the set out, and we all had to do our own wood shedding.
Yeah.
Before we had, it was more or less like 1.5 days really to go through the set and which songs. So yeah, there was a lot of individual wood shedding that we all did, and it came together really, really quickly. Which sort of shows that everybody was on the same page, and everybody had done their homework, and the cohesiveness of everybody proved that this is a killer lineup.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Cliff said to you after the gig, he says, "My right ear is ringing right now with how he hits that snare, so he's cool." I mean, I thought Marcus von Boisman was excellent on the night. I mean, when you're busy hurting Cliff's ears, are you aware of what Marcus and other frontmen do on the front of the stage?
Yeah. I've always been. I mean, even though I went to study drums at the Drummers Collective in New York City, I've always been the kind of drummer that plays for the song. And I like listening to vocalists and lyrics, and I try, quote unquote, not to overplay, because then it allows them to, if they want to change their phrasing, they want to do something different, etc., then they're allowed to do that. So yeah, I listen a lot to the vocals, and Marcus is he's top drawer.
Yeah, no, he's
great. He really
is
he's a quality vocalist. Really, really nice guy, talented guy within the studio, and a great band member. Cool. He's part of the band.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. He came into a bit late, didn't he? But I mean, Gav Gray on bass was cool too. I mean, as a kind of rhythm section, is it important that you have a good connection with the bass player? Do you like to play as a kind of a unit?
Yes. No disrespect to bass players here, but I'm a little bit more of a Bonham-esque kind of drummer. Like sometimes if you listen to my right foot, I'm sort of playing a little bit more with the rhythm guitar.
Okay.
And I always find that allows the bass player to go and do other things instead of me going dum dum dum, because that's dum dum, because that's what the bass player is doing.
Yep.
So that really comes from Bonham kind of schooling, and also if the song needs what we drummers would call the bank cash groove, dum da dum da, then that's what I'll play, and that I really need to lock in with the bass player, because then obviously the bass player may just be playing something like just simple straight eighth notes.
Yep.
or straight quarter notes. So it's like, yeah, if the guitar player may be playing something a little bit more busy or syncopated on top of that, then no, I don't need to get in the way of that.
Okay.
Because, you know, the bank cash groove underneath the syncopated rhythm works really, really well. Period. You know.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's good
that's the way I look
explanation.
at it.
Yeah, no, it's good explanation. I like that. I mean, the Cart was a great show, and then obviously you're on the plane the following day to Texas to play Hell's Heroes Festival. Yeah. I mean, that was there was. I mean, you got the shirt.
So-
you got the shirt on now. Yeah, the t-shirt on now. But there was a great
Yes.
photo on the socials where you were all together having a beer and you had your Metal Talk t-shirt on. Yeah, that got the guys excited over here. You looked particularly resplendent.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, was that a good festival to do? I mean, it must have been good as a bonding session.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we chose to go flying on the Thursday, even though our show was on the Friday, so we could basically just get a feel for the festival, you know, see where the merchandise had got to go, and just general get a vibe for everybody that was working the festival. You know, stagehands, say hello, blah blah blah, meet the promoter, and for us, because it was a little bit rushed. I mean, we had some quote unquote socializing like during the 1.5 days rehearsal, but it was a little rushed.
Yep.
You know, the focus was on, you know, on the set and making sure things were, you know, right, because even though we'd all done our wood shedding, you know, I might have done something that was like, well, you know, maybe don't quite do that, you know what I mean? So so I was finding my place. So the Friday afternoon after we'd got settled, I mean, when we arrived in Houston, there was a major storm. So we, you know, and everybody was really tired. It took forever to get through, you know, customs and immigration. So we didn't really get a chance to bond on the Thursday night. So on that Friday, yeah, we went down to the festival, met everybody, and then we found this place where everybody was walking to, sat down, had a drink. A very close friend of Cliff also joined us for the show, Hans. And yeah, we just sat down, and I thought, what a great time to wear my Metal Talk t-shirt.
Fab. I mean, and then you kind of run into the back end of 2024, which was not so great for you personally. I mean, you had a quadruple bypass. I mean, you look great now. The French climate must be helping you.
Yeah, I mean, we've actually got the sun out today, and there is some blue sky, but it's been absolutely horrible since I left the recovery center. So I had my surgery on November the 16th, and then November, like the 21st, 22nd, I was transported to the William Harvey Recovery Center, where you basically spend 3 weeks there.
Right.
And you know, they put you through your paces. It's very, very regimented. You know, walking at 9 o'clock for 30 minutes, then you have like an hour and a half, and then you're doing some cycling for 30 minutes, and you have lunch at 12:30. 45-minute rest, and then another walk for 30 minutes, and then physical therapy, and then that's it. You can relax and enjoy the rest of the day until dinner, which is served at 6:30. So, and then they push the cycling up to 45 minutes, and yeah, it's very regimented. It's very much, you know, monitoring you, basically going over your diet, and you know, I had a couple of stress tests. And you know, they knew I was a musician, and they, you know, I said, yeah, I'm a drummer, and they thought, oh, okay, yeah, you should be able to get back to your drumming, blah blah blah. And then they went and checked some videos, and they came back and said, okay, I think the schedule that we gave you for your drumming, you should push back a few more weeks, because that whole arm waving about and all that energy. You know, we need to just slow down on that. The heart is fine, but obviously they're more concerned about the sternum, the sternum separating, because, you know, when you said you were a drummer, we just thought you were, you know,
tap.
Gonna be doing this. And when we actually saw what you were doing and how much energy you actually put into your playing, it's like, yeah, okay, we're going to have to revise that. So I'm starting to go through a practice routine starting Monday.
Right. Okay.
To give myself to work myself up. But yeah, it was a wonderful wonderful experience there. I mean, everybody from the catering staff, the cleaners, the physiotherapists, my cardiologist, everybody went, above and beyond. And the folks who did my surgery up at the St. Martin hospital in Caen, again, everybody was above and beyond. And there were a couple of folks in there who recognized me.
Okay, cool.
It's like you quite expect some like a cardiologist to come out and be a metalhead, but he's like, "Are you the drummer in Diamond Head?" I'm like, yeah, okay. And there was one gentleman, Frank. When I went in for my surgery on the 16th, I was down in the operating room at 7:30. He came over and introduced himself. I said, "I'm Frank. I'm going to be the guy who's basically controlling the machine that is regulating your blood and your oxygen, coming out of your body and then going back into it." And he explained he was a drummer. I thought, "Oh, okay, well, great. Well, you're in charge of the smoke machine." And we become really, really good friends. And, I'm helping him develop a few things that he wants to advance himself along with drumming. So,
okay, cool.
He also videotaped my heart whilst I was being operated on. So
wow.
I actually have that. I've only clicked on the video and looked at the image. I haven't actually played it yet.
Right.
But you can see my heart, inside this green cloth. Like it's, the first couple of seconds of image is beating. But my heart was stopped for 2 hours, and it all went well. Really, really well.
Wow. So, that'd make a good T-shirt then, yeah. Picture.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. He said, "I thought you might be able to use it in a video." I'm like, I think it's a bit graphic. Somebody might just say, "I don't really want to see that," So, but,
I mean, so
so this is my memento from. This is my memento from the Carlton Horseshoe show, my Iron Maiden.
All right, okay. With water in. I've got water as well. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers, man. Cheers to you. And cheers to everybody.
You said on social media you hope to be playing again in April. Yeah, there's the Heavy Sound Festival in Belgium with Tank in June.
Yeah.
It's now all about building up your stamina and you're kind of in a strength around your chest and things like this. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I mean, I think this interim period will give me a chance to go over some things really that I've probably not focused on for a while.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the one good thing was I was able to finish the drums for the new Tank album before all this happened. So I was pleased that I got that done. And obviously when I do record, I record as if I am playing live.
Mm-hmm.
So I put a lot of energy into the actual playing of the recording. I don't like, okay, I'm recording now, so I'm just going to play like this. It's like, no, it's full on. How I'm going to play this live. Right. It's like, well, if I'm going to record it, I might as well be able to play it with the same kind of, venom and gusto.
Yep.
And showmanship, really.
Mm-hmm.
I am putting a show on at the end of the day for everybody. So.
Absolutely.
I've got an interim period. I mean, Tank did have a US scheduled tour in March, and I did say to Mick and Cliff and Ace Management and Marcus and Gav that, look, if you need to get a dep, then please do. Or if you need to replace me, I would totally understand. Because you don't know how this is going to go at the end of the day.
Yep.
So and they were like, no, it's okay, we'll wait. And thankfully the tour didn't quite work out, so now that's been pushed back to like the middle of September now.
Okay, cool.
Running into the late October, and we have the show in June, and we're just hoping now to start filling some warm up dates. If all goes well with the album, it comes out a UK tour.
Okay, cool. Anything you can leak about the new Tank album? Is it you've done the drums for it? Is it just kind of early stages, or?
Well, actually, Mick flew over to Marcus's studio in Sweden, and they did some pre-mixing, and it's coming along very, very well. And once the final mixes are done, then Marcus, like for the backing tracks, then Marcus is going to redo the vocals, because some of the vocals that were on the tracks that I played to were guide vocals. So, you know, a couple of lines were repeated. In order to just expedite the recording process. Obviously, when the songs were sent over to me, there was a drum machine, and Mick was like, "Look, just do what you do." You know, so yeah, that's pretty much what I've done. But yeah, we're hoping to have it completed by the end of this month.
Oh wow! Okay, cool. Yeah, excellent. That's good. That's good. Just go off a slight tangent, if you don't mind. I mean, some interviews you see they have a Wikipedia true or false section, but as you know, Metal Talk's got Dave Bonny.
Yeah.
So, two questions then. Titanium rods in your back. Are they still there? And does that cause you issue when you go through airport security?
No, they're still there. It doesn't cause me any issues going through airport security. It just causes issues on a daily basis. You know, having a lower spine injury.
Right.
You know, I am having to sort of tweak my drums more or less all the time. Sometimes I sit sort of close. Sometimes I sit further back, and my two floor toms, sometimes they're at this kind of angle. But sometimes then I have to like move them out a bit, right? Because I can only twist a certain amount. But sometimes, you know, everything is relaxed, and you know, traveling on an airline is, you know, for a long period of time, you know, brings the pain on. And obviously, I had my internal bleeding issue last year from all the medication that I've taken for my injury, which I had in 1997. But yeah, you know, there are daily issues, and there are some days when it really lets you know, yeah, you know, you're in some pain. But pain is a negative word, so you used discomfort. But I don't take any of the opiates, which I'm supposed to take. You know, I just deal with it. You know, you just learn to deal with it at the end of the day. That's what you have to do. So.
That's good. That's good. And what can you tell us about the project you had in Africa?
Oh, yeah, okay, the Gambia. Yeah, that was the Wonder Years Weiss. So it's WYCE. I can't remember what the C stood for. But okay, so this was a village that was set up by the mother and stepfather of Dodge Turner, who is my writing partner for my solo thing, Too Close for Missiles. And they invited me out to go to the Gambia. Both myself and Dodge, we went out, we did some writing out there. And it's a village that they helped develop to teach youngsters and help them become more and more self-sufficient, and put in a system for them to actually get fresh water out of the ground.
Wow, okay.
And be more aware of things like malaria, of things that they would naturally do, like collecting water and leaving the water, you know, close by to them. Well, that's the breeding ground for mosquitoes. And so the development of fresh water, bringing education to the children. And for myself, we set up a music program, and I invested money where we had locally made instruments for the children to start to become involved in music. You know, later on, I sent over a drum kit, and now, I mean, the school now is well developed. It's almost like a small town now. Yeah, I think Wonder Years Center of Excellence. So yeah, it was great to be involved with it. It was great to see these, you know, kids wanting to be involved in music and learn more and more about Western music, but also for me personally, just the value of a piece of string. You know, you don't throw a piece of string away because you tie it to something else because you make it longer, whereas I've cut that wrong, probably get rid of it. All the little things like that suddenly make you aware, like, just how lucky, quote unquote, in the Western developed world we really are, you know, on many things. And, you know, doing your laundry, you know, by hand in a bucket.
Yeah, yeah.
Little
And,
things like that, and also I met some wonderful people. I mean, I met a djembe player, Lamy, who gave me three lessons on the djembe, and I mean, this cat could easily have been playing with people like Sting or Paul Simon.
wow.
I mean, he's that talented.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, like the djembes are made with goat skins. So it's like, if you want one made, choose a goat.
Choose a goat,
Like,
yeah.
no, it's okay. I'll have a couple that are already made. Okay, so, but yeah,
Music.
it was a wonderful experience. It was
Wow.
great to see boys and girls getting involved in music using their own instruments.
Nice.
Again, all handmade. You
Yeah.
know, nothing off the shelf kind of vibe. So.
Cool,
really enjoyed
cool.
that.
Nice. Awesome. Let's go back in time a little bit. I mean, you worked with Sean Harris and Brian Tatler separately before being asked to join Diamond Head in 1991. Yeah, the resulting Death and Progress was a great album. Yeah, and you had Iommi on there, Mustaine on there. That was a tough time for metal, wasn't it, with grunge?
Yes.
Was that a frustrating time for you? Because I mean, you were a big fan of the band growing up, weren't you?
Yes. I was. Bogarts in Birmingham was the first time that I saw Diamond Head, and I was a fan from the start. You know, I thought the band was great. You know, I thought, you know, Brian, great guitarist. You know, Duncan was, again, you know, a drummer that played what was right for the song.
Yep.
You know, Cliff was rock solid, and I've always admired Sean. You know, so when I had the chance to work with him, yeah, you know, that was fantastic on the Notorious with Robin George.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm getting the chance to work with them was really good. And you know, the band did some shows. It went out as Dead Reckoning to sort of warm up the songs. And for me, I was sort of approaching the drums when we went in to do Death and Progress. I thought, I'm going to come from a little bit of a punky kind of vibe / Zeppelin kind of vibe. And because, yeah, the grunge thing was in full rage. But I don't think us going in, well, I can't remember it being tough. It was like, no, we're just going to go in and make a Diamond Head album. And, you know, we had, you know, Andy Scarth, who ended up doing the final production. And it was, how can one say? For me, it was my second, quote unquote, recordings with a major label. Because my first one was with Notorious. No, it was just go in, do your job, get the drums down, and just let Sean, Brian, and at the time, you know, Pete Vukovic put the bass down. Obviously, you know, it didn't sort of all pan out the way everybody wanted it to. Maybe that could have been because of the grunge thing, and the maybe lack of support for rock music, because the grunge scene was a big thing. You know, totally changed the world.
Yeah, I mean, we did stuff with we've done stuff with American musicians, who lost entire like $1 million contracts, because they released the same, an album the same day that Nirvana came out. I mean, if you look at Wikipedia's got a whole section about the National Bowl incident, and if you look at the way that maybe record labels were trying to push bands, and their direction did shift a bit in 91, 92. I mean, there was the reboot in 2002 with Brian and Sean, before Sean left again. I mean, Sean's resurfaced on social media, on Facebook recently, the last sort of 3 or 4 months. He just seemed to disappear off the face of the earth for years, didn't he?
Yes. I mean, I've got the utmost respect for Sean, as a singer and a songwriter. And, he was the best man at my wedding. And, sometimes just things don't work out.
Yep.
You can have the best intentions, and, sometimes people want to make a left turn, and if somebody wants to make a right turn, and it's sort of like, what do you do? And obviously, Diamond Head, I was drummer number 3, So, I was just there to facilitate doing the drums. I had a friendship, obviously, with both Sean and Brian. Obviously, I did the Radio Moscow album, where it ended up being, I think, a 4-track CD, and then Rich took over. So, I had a good working relationship with both of them. And, sometimes, just shit doesn't quite work out. And, obviously Sean wanted to do certain things, and, it just didn't quite work out. And it was a tough decision for us to go and carry on with him. I mean, at the end of the day, it's Sean Harris, he's got a very, very, noticeable voice, at the end of the day, and phenomenal singer, wonderful lyricist, great songwriter. And he made that decision, not to do that. I mean, we made the decision to do the Wacken show without him. Because, we were just put on the spot. It's like, okay, people have gone out of their way and we got this gig at Wacken. And it's sort of like, well, you can't sort of piss people like Wacken off.
No, absolutely.
I mean, and I don't know whether it was a direct result of that, but it took Diamond Head 4 years to get invited back to a festival in Germany, 1997. After the 1993 Wacken show. So, I mean, it's great that he's back out there, doing what he's doing and, getting out and about. And I wish him all the best, because he's a talented motherfucker. At the end of the day, he really is,
I mean, many would say Nick Tart and All Will Be Revealed was kind of the proper reboot for the band. Would you agree with that?
I mean, that was also when, I took over, got the back room stuff. I mean, Brian's acknowledged that, without me, Diamond Head wouldn't have continued. So, I spotted Nick when I went to visit a friend of mine who just joined this cover band, going out Lamps. And Nick was singing in the band, and I was just visiting, really. And we'd just done the Wacken show, and I was visiting with another friend of mine, drummer friend, and they went into rock and roll, and I thought, oh, okay. So I passed him over to Brian, and Brian and Nick got together, and it was sort of like, okay, let's go for it. I mean, we parted ways with Sean, which is something, I think, we could probably say maybe it's not something we wanted to do, but the band either had to stop, or it had to move forward. One of the two things, it couldn't just be in limbo again. Or or as Sean, is quoted as saying, transmogrified. So it's either, look, Brian, I said to him, like, look, just put Diamond Head to bed. Okay, or we have to move on. It's a difficult decision, and obviously, Sean was very, very difficult to replace. But Nick came in, and we got it together, and we did an album, and we were fortuitous to land the European UK tour with Megadeth, because I think it was the Exodus. I don't know if they dropped by their label or something. So there was a support slot open, and I said to Brian, I said, look, call Dave. All he can do is say no.
No, that's good.
At the end of the day, so we were mixing the record, and Brian made the phone call, and we went out there and did it, and there was a good reception. We did one show at the small room at JB's in Wolverhampton. I mean Dudley, sorry, and we invited, I thought, like 50 or 60 very, very close Diamond Head fans. Right. Fans who almost come to every show, and just said, look, just be honest. If you think this is crap, don't bother. Then just tell us. Because we don't want to look, as if we don't know what we're doing. But we also, didn't want to disrespect the Diamond Head name. Which was the most important thing. So, we did this show in the small room. They came, and, at the end of the show, we just sat down and spoke with folks, and they just said, just go for it. It's great. Wow. You played 4 or 5 new tracks, and it's like, Nick can sing, just do it, go for it.
That's cool. That's like a goosebump, yeah, for me, hearing that. I mean, you know, if you kind of look at the history of Diamond Head, yeah, and it might be influenced by kind of bad timing, you know. I mean, obviously Nick moved to Brisbane, didn't he? Yeah, or so some of the history was bad management decisions, yeah. Then with yourself, kind of, you know, getting through the All Will Be Revealed and tours again, yeah. Then you got Rasmus in, you know. And that's been just such an awesome addition to the band, isn't it? You know, that's now over 10 years of Diamond Head continuing to grow, yeah, continuing to record, continuing to tour, you know. I mean, like I say, I know you personally have put a lot of work into that, you know. But yeah, I mean, you can look at the Diamond Head album, the Coffin Train album. Yeah, you had a lot of input in writing those as well. So I mean, how do you take something that you hear in your head or some musical emotion and kind of share that with the team, and it then turns into a song?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the crux of the songwriter were Brian and Raz, and the Phoenix was Abs, and then I add certain elements that they might not have thought of, or ideas, or maybe like changing this, or you know, maybe changing a certain pattern of hits to come along, and making other suggestions, which at the end of the day, it's only done to make the song what you could perceive to be better, you know, and you hope, you know, the principal songwriters go, oh yeah, that's a good idea, I didn't think of that, you know. And yeah, we had a very, very close relationship whilst we were doing that. I mean, sometimes, you know, living in America, you know, they would get together with Duncan to go over, you know, ideas, or, you know, maybe Brian would, you know, bring his drum machine. And obviously when Raz got involved, especially after the first album, you know, Brian, I don't know if he's doing this with Saxon, but we bring along his cassette recorder.
Right, okay. Cassette recorder, that's real old.
Yeah, you know, and fucking, you know, would record rehearsals and takes on the cassette recorder. But when we started to do the Coffin Train, you know, Raz has got this whole like portable Pro Tools thing. Fucking putting mics up here all over the shop, you know. So it became a little bit more professional, quote unquote, in the realms of quality, of being able to listen back to certain things, and you know, Raz has brought that, you know, kind of vibe to the whole. I mean, the whole set, really. You know, the whole production of kind of vibe. But yeah, it's so. They may have a basic idea, like if they've either done it with a drum machine or Duncan had played the track. You know, like when Eddie, you know, Eddie would say like, you know, Duncan did this and I thought this was really good. So it's like, okay, fine. You know, let me implement it. Let me listen to it, and let me see if I can throw my spin on it.
Yep. Okay.
But again, I was sort of given, you know, carte blanche to be able to do what I do, and you know, I'm much more of a groove cat.
Yep.
Than somebody who likes to put a drum fill every 4 measures or every 8 measures. You know, for me, it's locking down the groove where the band just sits, and you know, it's just this fucking. I mean, you know, for me, the inspiration for that was watching AC/DC. I mean, I saw AC/DC 9 times on the Highway to Hell tour.
Wow.
But it was the track The Rocker.
Okay. Yeah.
The first time I saw The Rocker, I stopped looking at the stage, and that was the track where Angus would come out on Bond's shoulders. And of course, you know, the Odeon's kind of vibe, so he'd be up on the balcony. So, you know, there's the stage, you're looking at the stage, you know, Angus comes out, and then you're all doing this, looking at Angus. Okay. Yep. Well, after that, all I did was watch the stage, because you had Phil Rudd, Malcolm, Cliff Williams going do dum dum da do dum dum da do dum for fucking like 15 minutes and not moving, not a whittle, not a woo on the bass or a dubba 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 on the drums, just this do dum dum da do dum dum da do dum dum. And I thought, like, that is so fucking intense. Holy fucking shit, dude. That's a fucking groove right there.
Yep.
You know, and I thought, that's the shit right there. You know,
Yep.
I mean, I've been to see, Scorpions and, Rainbow and, Thin Lizzy and all that kind of stuff. And I completely admired all those cats. I mean, Cozy Powell, Brian Downey, big influences on my playing. But watching that and just the energy that was coming from that groove, I just thought, that's the shit, you know, for me personally. So that's sort of like what I tried. That's sort of like what I tried to bring to the song. And sometimes, my feel just might be a little basic kind of vibe, but that's the kind of thing that Brian likes. I mean, we've discussed certain things, and it's sort of, dude, less is more.
Yeah.
It's all about the songs.
Sometimes space is, sometimes space is important, isn't it? And it's about letting the whole thing breathe.
I mean, without getting too zenny, as they say, it's the space between the bars that contains the tiger. Yeah. So yeah, it was a great process. Either a little bit of influence, input with Duncan or a drum machine guide, and then me just doing my thing, and then maybe Brian or Raz or Eddie at the time making some other suggestions, or I would do something. I mean, sometimes you come up with something and it's a complete ball up.
Yeah.
And you go, oh fucking hell! I came in a beat early, or I turned the beat upside down, and they go, oh, that was great. Do that, yes.
Yeah.
Whatever you did there, do it again. And again, that can work for everybody's instrument. You do something that you didn't mean to do, and it works. So cool. The one thing about the Coffin Train was we just didn't get a chance to tour it,
right,
because of COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great album. I mean, and obviously, we had to, I think we tried to reschedule the tour 3 or 4 times. I just don't think we were able to bring it to everybody, which is a great shame. But I mean, we were the only artists who suffered, through that whole COVID thing. I mean, not only artists, but obviously venues, promoters, the whole works,
the whole shebang,
of the entertainment industry. Suffered, but a lot of work went into it. A lot of new ideas, that Raz brought to the table, and we just didn't finally, after all that, I can just bring it out to the general public, and obviously, when you're doing a 45-minute support slot, you've only got limited amount of time, and if Diamond Head does, classics like Am I Evil, The Prince, maybe Helpless, that's like almost 18, 19 minutes, 20 minutes of your set done. So, but we were able to throw, a couple in which, which were greatly received, but if out of that whole process of the Coffin Train thing was, it's just a bugger that COVID hit when it did.
Yeah, I mean the kind of reception it got, the kind of chart positions it got, that was a real pat on the back, wasn't it? And then you ran into Lightning for the Nations, the 2020 version. I mean, that was just awesome, wasn't it? That no remorse, blasted in the ears when you listen to that. That was just wow.
Yeah, it was something I'd wanted to do for a while. And I'd mentioned to Brian, I said, like, look, this new lineup that basically, we've had now for almost, I think when Dean joined, it's like 2016, I think. This lineup, let's revisit the White Album. And, I said, like, look, the 40th anniversary is going to be a great time to do it. And he was sort of sat on the fence a little bit. And I mentioned it to Adam Parsons, the band's management at the time, and he was like, that's a really, really good idea. That I also mentioned as well that Scott Garrett, he owns Rockstar Skins. He does bass drum head designs, but also his father I think did merchandise for Diamond Head back in the day.
Right.
Mentioned about the band doing a song from each of the big four. You know, so I think Brian and Raz looked at doing that, you know, listening to Anthrax and Slayer and Megadeth, and finally we just ended up with Metallica, No Remorse, and obviously, you know, Zeppelin and the Deep Purple track, and it was sort of like, okay, Brian's analogy of it was, we're going to do Metallica covering Diamond Head, covering Metallica.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I thoroughly enjoyed playing it. You know, really, you know, it's quite quick. It's obviously, you know, there's a lot of fucking energy involved. You know, a lot of, you know, on a guitar kind of vibe, and obviously, you know, Raz is such a, you know, phenomenal singer that just took it to another level. So yeah, that was fun. It was great to, you know, see. I mean, there's a couple of slight arrangement changes and ideas on, you know, on the Diamond Head songs on that album. But yeah, it was a great idea, something I wanted to do, and I'm glad we did it. Because it was so well received. Well received. I mean, you know, sometimes you want to do that. It's like, you know, why do you want to do that? But I just thought it was great. It was a fantastic idea. The 40th anniversary. And you know, the lineup that we had, you know, with Dean, Abs, myself, Brian, and Raz, you know, we really kicked ass.
Yeah.
We really did.
I mean, you talk about the lineup, I mean, but if you look at you know, the look at your involvement with the band, since getting Nick in 2004, and you look at the kind of the effort over the years, you know, and you've been the driver for the band, you know, you know, this 2020 version of that classic album, I mean, it's that's some Diamond Head statement. You must be very proud about that and your involvement with the band.
You know, I'm glad I was able to convince Brian enough for him to, and I could understand why he was hesitant. You know, because that album is such a iconic album in its thing. You know, I mean, you know, nothing on the label. I mean, you know, on the middle of the record, nothing on the album, just signatures. And obviously, being such an inspirational album to Lars and a number of other folks, that to sort of go and tread, you know, redo something. I mean, you know, folks do remakes of movies, and people go, "Oh no, it's horrible." But again, you know, we had Raz, you know, at the controls, and it was sort of like, we can do this. You know, I did the drums here, and, you know, use Raz's studio in London, and we were able to do it very efficiently, fairly quickly, and give it the energy that, you know, we thought it needed. You know, as well. I mean, you know, to justify doing, you know, I mean, one of the things, you know, the Sinner is both Brian and Abs, like backstage before going on, they play the riff. You know, it fucking, I mean, that riff itself just grooves like a motherfucker. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, you know, and Simon Phillips was on the drums, you know, another big inspiration, you know, for my early playing. You know, so that was a bit of a no-brainer. So obviously that, and obviously, you know, Ian Pace, again, another huge influence. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, Bonham, you know, fucking for me. And, you know, doing the Metallica track, I mean, there's so many to do from the Metallica, but it was picking the one, you know, obviously from like the early doors of, as I said, Brian, let's do Metallica doing Diamond Head doing Metallica. And I think we did a great job. And again, you know, fucking COVID just fucking got in the way of, you know, of all that shit for us. You know, but I'm glad we did it. It was a great statement. Everybody in the band, you know, was top draw, and I'm glad that, you know, Adam and Silver Linings, you know, thought, this is a fucking great idea. Great idea.
That was good. They really pushed it well. I mean, obviously, there's a bit of a hiatus going on at the moment, with Brian Orford Saxon. I mean, tell me he's got his cassette recorder with him, and you've got a plan with some new music coming up?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, the hiatus is, you know, Raz is off, like, you know, doing these history of rock shows. Abs is tinkering away with riffs, and you know, I have some riffs as well. Obviously, you know, Brian is also now writing with Saxon. So, you know, I mean, I can't speak for Brian. I'm not quite sure how he's going to separate this is a Diamond Head thing, and this could go forward, you know, for Biff and Saxon. So that we have to wait and see on how that progresses. Yeah, there is a want to do that. And next year, I mean, I've spoken to Brian about this, but obviously with his commitment now to Saxon, it's working around the Saxon schedule. And obviously, now that Saxon are no longer with Adam Parsons, hopefully I can talk to Seven, Saxon's management, because next year is the 50th anniversary of Diamond Head. And I think it would be a wonderful opportunity to possibly put something out, do something, or do a selection of shows where, I mean, for me, I've always wanted to do an evening with Diamond Head. And if that meant, like, you know, we do like 75 minutes and there's like fucking half an hour intermission, and then we come back and we do another 75 minutes, you know, because there's such a collection of songs that we could do, you know, from the White Album all the way up to the Coffin Train.
I mean, that could be really cool. Yeah, special guests.
Yes, you know, and again, I mean, you know, whether quote unquote we made it a Nawabaham night, but I think I would really, really like to do it because 50 years, that's it. And it comes around once. You know what I mean? But obviously, you know, we have to work around or negotiate what Saxon are going to be doing and where we could slip that in. You know, I think festivals would be like, yeah, I think that is a great idea. Yeah, you come and do this festival, come and do that festival, etc., etc. This is 50 years of Diamond Head, and if we could have some new material or something that we could put out to go along with that, I think it'd be a great idea. Personally, I really do.
No, that'd be cool. An evening with Diamond Heads, I mean, I'd be there for that. For
you know, I think it'd be great. You know, I mean, you know, Raz has always wanted to do a few more like kind of production kind of vibes, but if you've got to have the budget, you know, like an LED screen, you know, I mean, like for us to let's say we do No Remorse and we have the No Remorse video playing behind us. You know, I mean, but that's production. It takes a little bit more time. It obviously more money, etc., etc. So yeah, it's something where it's just full on fucking production. You know, like this is what Diamond Head is about. You know, so
yeah, cool. I mean, so you've been working with Jack Frost. I mean, he's cool dude. He was over here with Keith St. John at the Devon Camden a few months ago, for an acoustic evening. That was pretty good. So you've done one album with him, and there's another one in progress.
Yes, I've actually, I think I've actually done a follow-up Seven Witches album.
Right.
So the last text I had from Jack was, I think it's possibly going to be a 6-track EP.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I'm also now in Seven Witches.
Right. Okay.
So which is great. I mean, you know, I mean, I've never classed myself as a metal drummer.
Right. Okay.
You know, for me, I've always been a rock drummer. You know, some folks go, well, there is no difference. It's like, yeah, well, you know, there is a little bit. So you know, doing the Seven Witches thing, I mean, you know, there was a fucking track that we did, the name escapes me, like fucking Stupid Speed on the fucking kick pedals.
Right, okay, yeah.
I'm like fucking going for it. I mean, I just felt like I pushed the fucking bass drum down the stairs when I first tried it. But anyway, so 6-track, Seven Witches. I did the Brothers in Arms, and we are working on the next one. And it was great to work with. I mean, I didn't know Keith St. John was going to be on a couple of the tracks.
Right. Okay.
But because when Jack mentioned it to me, he just said, "Look, would you be interested?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, okay." So basically, he sent me a stereo guitar file and a click track, and just said, "Do whatever you got to do." Right. And I sent him, I played the track through 3 or 4 times, doing different things in different places, and then I put it together. I wouldn't quantize it. I hate being put on the grid.
Right. Okay.
For me, I feel the songs have got to push and pull.
Yep.
If you want perfect time, then just use the drum machine.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Use the easy drummer. You're gonna get fucking fantastic sounds, and it's all gonna be in perfect time. And I've never gone on the grid. So he's like, "Okay, fine, that's great." And that's it. The drums would go back, and he'd come back and say, "Yeah, that's great," or "Can you do what you did in this bit in that bit as well?" And so, "Yeah, okay, I'll do that." And then that's it. Alex Janssen would do bass.
Right. Okay.
And then there'd be vocals on it. And then the next thing I know, he's like, "Can you do a video?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And that's how I heard the tracks.
Yeah.
And then, and I understand what he wanted to do, bring that kind of 80s vibe back. I know some folks will probably say, "Well, that's a bit, bloody lame, dude, move on." It's like, but, at the end of the day, if you want to call it hair metal, but it's like, no, dude, there's a good vibe.
Yeah.
About that kind of genre of music. And I enjoyed doing it. I mean, it was a lot more AOR.
Yep.
For me, a lot more of that. So, I could call on some of the guys like Tommy Aldridge. I mean, Tommy Aldridge, I got into Tommy Aldridge when he was with Pat Travers.
Right, okay.
I saw Pat Travers at Wolverhampton Civic Hall, and Diamond Head was supporting.
Wow, okay.
Double-edged sword, kind of vibe there. And, so I'm thinking, well, why would Tommy approach this kind of vibe with him obviously being in Whitesnake?
Yep.
It's like, yeah, okay, so I'll listen to some Tommy and a couple of other of the, big heavyweight AOR drummers, like Denny Carmacy.
Yep.
And let's go for it. And Jack wants to do another one. Obviously, he's tied up with Alan Over at the moment.
Yeah.
So again, hopefully we can get everybody's schedules together.
Yeah.
I just know at the moment he's trying to get the 7 Witches.
Yep.
EP done.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Dude, just let me know when you're ready. I mean, and I think by the time he is ready, I think I will be ready.
Right. Okay. Good.
As I said, I'm going to start on Monday, just faffing about and making sure everything works. I mean, before my surgery, a big influence on my playing was the jazz cat, Buddy Rich. And I read his a book that was written called One of a Kind, and he had a quadruple bypass in 1983, and he was back out playing after 8 weeks.
Wow!
And I saw him at the Birmingham Odeon on that tour, and there was a part where he was saying that he picked the sticks up and it wasn't happening, and he thought it was all over, and I just thought, okay, so that was like 5 or 6 weeks. I'm going to wait.
Right.
One of the things that they explain to you when you've had this kind of procedure, and possibly several other things, is you have to be aware of the potential for depression.
Okay.
To set in.
Yeah.
Because whilst your heart may be, functioning and pumping and doing what it's doing, there are things that you are just going to have to say, I can't do that now. Okay, so and that can be a little difficult for folks, especially if you're in a relationship and, you're seeing your partner do everything.
Yep.
Because at the moment you can't get involved in doing that, or you just think, yeah, but I feel great and I want to go and do this, and it's like, no, you can't, just at this particular moment in time.
So it's a case of pacing yourself, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And we know as human beings, we're not fucking clever at doing that.
Yeah.
And as men, chaps, it's like,
oh yeah,
fuck that shit, dude. You know what I mean? I'm fucking feel great. I'm gonna go out and fucking fight, wrestle the ball.
Yeah.
Kind of vibe. So that was explained to me. I read the Bud thing, and I read, some folks who weren't musicians who had quadruple bypasses, etc., and I just took it all on board. I said, you know what? I mean, I had a practice pad whilst before I had my surgery, and I just thought, yeah, I'm going to make sure I can still play. And whilst I was at William Harvey, I picked it up and I did did some stuff, and I thought, yeah, you know what? I don't need to focus on that now.
Yep.
There'll be time for me to do that. What is more important, and what was explained to me, is that, you know, you have to walk every day of the week. You know, you got to do the good 30 minutes to 45 minutes of good walking. I mean, the weather's been atrocious for me to actually go out and do any cycling, but yeah, you got to do that. You got to make sure your heart is functioning. Otherwise, everything that is, all that wonderful stuff that you've worked on, will, you know, just go down. And obviously, you know, my whole diet's changed. You know, so yeah, I've just thought I'll just take a step back. So I think by the time Jackie's ready to go, I should be ready to go. You know, and obviously, you know, Tank is front and center.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, there's a lot more double kick with Tank than there is in a Diamond Head show, and some of them is quite, you know, quite up tempo. So I need to be able to make sure I've got the stamina, the strength, and be able to do all the arm waving and all, you know, what's involved. Is who I am as a player.
Show.
Yeah, the show.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, I remember meeting Cozy Pell once at Richmond Studios in Birmingham, and this was when he was with Black Sabbath, and his drum tech had loaded his drum kit in, and it's like, ooh, that's Cozy's kit. I'm gonna fucking I'm gonna put my head around the door, and he's like, yeah, come on in. And I thought, yeah, let me go and have a look. And I thought, holy shit, no wonder that motherfucker's loud. He fucking drumsticks like tree trunks. They got 2 fucking 26-inch bass drums, 2 15-inch rack toms, and the floor toms. I thought, fuck's sake, dude. Wow, no wonder he's loud. But I had the chance to meet him, and he was sort of like, yeah, you know, you got to do this because the geezers at the back can't see this. You know, so you got to put a bit more, you know, things into it and all that caper. So whilst the folks down the front can see your energy, the people at the back are like, well, he ain't doing much, is he? Fucking putting much effort into it. So, you know, I got a good, I wouldn't say lecture, but a good lesson in, dude, you got to project for the folks who just immediately can't see you. You know, so yeah, it's great, and that's what I want to be able to do. You know, when I go out on the road and play with Tank and for Diamond Head or whoever I'm playing with, because that's who I am as a player.
Yeah, and who you are. I mean, you know, it feels like we've only touched the surface. You know, I mean, if you look back at you know, you're forming Requiem, with Steve Slater in the early New Wave days. I mean, you mentioned Notorious with Sean Harris and Robin George. You know, I mean, Geffen put a load of money into that and then canned the album after 3 weeks. And then you go off to New York and hang out with the jazz dudes. You know, how far are you with the book, or do we need to do another 2 or 3 interviews?
No, I'd like to do a couple more interviews. I have considered that idea. You know, you know, one of the things I realised as a musician, I mean, you know, things have changed now. People want to be rock stars. Okay. You know, when I started my musical career, I was a trumpet player for 10 years. You know, so, you know, I played in the school brass band, and then I went up to, comprehensive school, and I played in, you know, the school orchestra. Then I joined the Cannock Music Centre. Then I played for the Staffordshire County Orchestra, the Staffordshire County Big Band, and also the Wind Band. And then Ian Richards, who's a great drummer, was leaving. He was 18. He was too old. He couldn't be, couldn't be in the band anymore. And you know, my dad was he was a professional musician up until 1962. He had his own 16-piece dance band.
He was a drummer as well, wasn't he?
And you know, and he had he had all the charts. You know, he had like 3, 4 trumpets, 2 or 3 trombones, 5 saxes, piano, bass, guitar, drums, all the charts. You know, and he had a Premier Olympic gold sparkle practice kit, and I just thought, fucking drummer, he has solos and everything. Like, you know, and I'd worked my way up from like fourth trumpet. I mean, I think there were like 10 trumpet players in the actual orchestra. So I'd worked my way up from fourth trumpet to third trumpet to second trumpet to first trumpet to fourth solo trumpeter.
Right. Okay.
And then I'm like, oh, the drummer's leaving. And I remember, you know, the conductor, the head of the musical thing, Tom Farrer, saying, what are we going to do? We ain't got a drummer. So I thought, all right, I'll have a bash. So I had a bash and I took the charts home. And we had our first rehearsal. I was absolute load of bollocks. I was all over the shop.
Yeah.
And anyway, you know, I could see everybody in the band looking at me and going like, really, dude? So I thought like, bollocks to this, I'm going to woodshed. So I fucking took all the charts home. I really got inside the charts and like blah, blah, blah. And that was it. That was the turning point. And of course, by then I was getting into rock music. You know, I mean, you know, Slade were a huge influence on me, and I've been very fortunate to work with Jimmy Lee. And you know, then I started to go see bands at the Scorp, you know, at the Wolverhampton Civic Hall or Birmingham Odeon or De Montfort Hall or Derby Assembly Rooms, and I just thought, I wonder if I could do that for a living. I wonder. I just wonder if that is possible. So all of a sudden, you know, my snare drum went from that like a flat angle to like fucking leaning against me, because I'd seen Steve Williams from Budgie. You know,
right, okay.
you know, he had this way of playing that every time he hit the snare drum, his body would go up. And I thought, that's a fucking good groove. That is, again, great. And again, watching Phil Rudd, you know, Phil Rudd had got this like circular arm motion. I just thought, that's like a fucking machine, dude. You know, he's on the way his arm comes in. And as I say, the rocker. And like the whole drum kit changed. The cymbals went on giraffe stands. My dad was like, okay, because, you know, he got like a rack tom. And he said, I'm going to give you one piece of advice now. You're going to be the first to arrive, the last to leave, and you're going to need a big car. Are you sure you want to do this for a living? And I'm thinking, yeah, Dad, but you're missing the point. I want to be like in this. And I've seen they have crew, you know.
Yeah.
You know, not realising when I was in Requiem, I was going to be, you know, humping gear at the back of the van. I mean, at the time in Requiem, I had a drum kit very similar to Steve Williams, which was a single kick, 2 floors. It was a 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14-inch rack tom, you know, giraffe stands, cymbals all over the place. And, you know, there was a wonderful cartoon ad in Modern Drummer magazine where it showed you your first drum kit, which, you know, could be like a bass drum from this manufacturer, a snare drum from that manufacturer, or blah, blah. Then it showed you your drum kit, and it was Neil Peart's drum kit. Right. And then the next one was like your gigging drum kit, and it was like 4 drums.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't get that on the stage now, you know. And,
well, I mean, it's like when you see the pub gigs, you know, and the drummers there, and you've got the bass player and maybe a couple of guitarists and the singers, all pretending to do stuff, but looking at the floor, while the drummer's still packing up, you know.
Yeah. You know, and of course, like with Requiem, you know, we were, you know, that one of the beauties of that new wave of British heavy metal a period of time was the do-it-yourself attitude. Right. You know,
okay,
so I was working at a supermarket, you know, in the receiving area. I was like, I get like 4 of these GKN blue pallets, fucking weigh a ton, you know, 9 beer crates. That's it. That's the drum riser, fucking black cloth over the front. Used to carry that shit around, and I'm like, okay, now, you know, some of these stages now, drummers have to share drum kits. You can't even get 2 drum kits on the stage. And it's like, and my dad was right. You got to have a big car. Even if you've got a basic drum kit, you still need a big car.
Yeah. So we'll definitely do more. I mean, you look well. You look healthy.
Thank you. I feel well, man. I feel well.
I feel like you come across well, and you're on board with everything that you need to do to get out there and playing again. So I think that's really, really good news. Any message for the fans?
First of all, thank you for everybody that wrote to me wishing me best wishes. I know I put one out, and all of a sudden my my musician's Facebook page disappeared for some reason. So I don't know if people actually were able to read that. But firstly, I just want to thank everybody, whether they be Diamond Dead fan, a Tank fan, a drumming fan, or just a metal fan, or just a regular person. It meant a lot to me, because when the surgeon came after my initial exam, came and told me and said, look, here's your heart. All 4 chambers are 80 to 85% blocked.
Wow.
If you don't do this now, then you're on borrowed time. So it was like, okay. There was a lot to process, and of course I didn't really want to put out there that what I was going through. I mean, Dave, he's got to be one of the best fucking people on the planet, Dave Bonney. He's done so much for me, not only as a friend and a human being, but setting my drums up, taking them down, introducing me to people, and helping set this up with you. Said, can I do one? I said, well, let me go through the process first. And then he sent me a text and saying, Carl, like, folks have found out, and they everybody's sending you best wishes. So I said, okay, I'll do one. For the Tank fans, I'm really looking forward to getting out and powering the band along. Mick, Cliff, Marcus, Gav have all been very, very supportive. The new album sounds great. There's some hacking kick-ass songs. For the Diamond Dead crew, is like, just have some patience. Hopefully that we can make the 50th anniversary happen. And I just want to wish everybody, take care of yourselves, because you really do not know what is around the corner.
Yep.
And let's keep metal and rock alive, regardless of whether folks say rock is dead. It's like bullshit to that. As long as we can go ahead, keep playing, and folks can keep coming out and seeing the shows, and bands will keep going out and playing. Just wish everybody hopefully a peaceful, prosperous, healthy, happy 2025.
Cool. Carl,
and thank you so much, Steve. I really appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Inspiring to hear you talk about that and what you've gone through. I'll say thank you very much for your time. We'll do more.
Yes, sure.
At Metal Talk, and I'm sure all the metal world and all the rock world wish you all the best of health, and a bright and busy 25
Thanks, man.
Across,
I appreciate it. Up with the horns, man. You take care. Best wishes to everybody. Take care.
Awesome.
Bye.